Welcome to the T2 Hubcast. Join T2 and guests as they discuss all things personal and professional development. The T2 Hubcast, brought to you by the People Performance People.
Welcome to the T2 Hubcast with me, Spencer Locker.
And me, Tracy Roberts.
And we have a special guest.
Sophie Thornton.
Hi, Sophie.
She's
Hey, all
very
right.
professional, very professional.
So leading on from what we've just been talking about, we were talking about recruitment, we were talking about retention, we're talking about the right people for the right job, we were talking about veterans, we were talking about, I think we were sort of looking at this great resignation, we're looking about people sort of reassessing where they are, and maybe making changes. And you know what? That's a great thing to look at when you're a little bit further down the road of life.
Yes.
Like, so you were talking
Why are
about.
you looking at me like that when you say
Well,
that?
you were talking about being in your mid-20s, about leaving the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
I left the military when I was 40.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little bit further down the road.
Yeah,
and when we start thinking about veterans, as you said, sort of the engagement could be 9 years, 12 years, 15 years, or in my case, 20, 22, 24 years, did a pensionable engagement. However, let's just flick it back a little bit, because when we're looking at talent, when we're looking at people who are going to bring value, add value to an organisation, we've also got to start thinking about people who are leaving school and leaving college. Yeah. Which brings me on to Sophie. Because, I tell you what, can I just put you on the spot a little bit, Sophie? Yeah. So tell us a bit about you and sort of why you are where you are.
Right.
Yeah.
So after high school, secondary school, I decided to carry on in education and do some A-levels.
Oh, right, okay.
So I wasn't sure at first what to do, but I've got a very creative side. So I knew that I was going to do art. So I went down that route thinking maybe, in my head, maybe university, going with art or something in creation in that sense.
Yeah, just before we go further on this is a really good point, because from my observations, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, you mature beyond your years. You're a mature young lady, but that's not always the case. That's not always the case of teenagers, people in the mid to late teens. And I remember quite definitely when I was 12, 13, maybe 14, but I'm pretty sure it was earlier than that, where I had somebody stood over me going, "What are you going to do with the rest of your life?" Yeah. And that's a big question for anybody, never mind a teenager. So, and bearing in mind at that point, in my life, 14 years old or 13 years old or whatever, it was a different world to where it is now. So it was quite usual for you to join an organisation, join a company, and be there till you retired. Yeah. It was the normal thing at that point in history. I cannot believe I'm referring to my teenage years as that point in history. However,
it's a good point, though, isn't it? Being able to make a choice. I mean, even at Sophie's age, to think, right, I know what is naturally in me and what I want to do. Whereas I was reflecting on this because my little girl's nearly 13 and they're already saying to her, "What do you want to do?" Yeah. And it did make me think of a conversation that me and Sophie had because she keeps changing her mind all the time because she's got no bloody idea because she's not even got into the subjects yet. Yeah. So how can she make a decision that early? Yeah. So the fact that you had a bit of an idea about the fact that, right, okay, I think I'm creative, which all will become apparent when we discuss Sophie's print profile.
Good. Oh, yeah. Okay. So you see yourself as a bit creative.
So I thought I would go down that route. I didn't really know much about university then because they don't really introduce it till your late years of sixth form, so you don't really know. So I kind of played with it a bit, chose some subjects that I didn't really know much about. I feel like I just sort of jumped into the deep end and I gave sociology a go. Really, really difficult. Still yet to receive my result, but I'm glad I did it. It taught me a lot about like the world and stuff. And then English, I'm very, very, I love writing. I love talking and writing. I can just blab on a page, really. So I did that, and I'm happy that I chose them subjects. They've definitely given me I've got something out of them, 100%. Yeah. But my whole main thing was to go and do something creative, as in like drawing, painting, something like that, artsy. And there's just not many jobs out there that I thought suited me or suited, were actually worthwhile. It's very hard and it's very narrow to get into, so I kind of strayed away, went more to the writing. That's why I came across admin. I thought, this place was like great cross of both. Very, creative still, very creative. So yeah, I kind of ended up here.
It's a good, it's a good point you make, because I'm not a creative person. I've got to put my hand on my heart. I'm not a creative person. However, when I see somebody who's creative and they want to lead their life down a creative path, when we're looking at formal education, it's very much focused on academia.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not criticising anything there. There's reasons why there's academia suits some people and doesn't suit other people. However, when you come in to look at a creative pursuit, a creative career, that I haven't looked into it too deeply, but I believe that there's going to be electronic creation. Yeah. Sort of doing the sort of
like graphic
design and
stuff,
things like that.
Yeah.
But when you're starting to look at like actually drawing, painting, that sort of creativity, I suppose the options are very limited. Yeah. And you can imagine, and I'll just say this and then I'll let you talk, because I'd love to hear what you say. But you can imagine the frustration of some people like yourself who have got that artistic bent. They're really creative. They're really artistic. For whatever reason, they've been pegged as my life is going to go in this way, and they're in a mundane job, repetitive job, because that's they think that's the only thing that's available to them. The incredible that must be incredibly frustrating.
Well, I mean, that would be your idea of hell, Sophie, wouldn't it? Let's be honest, being in a mundane job where you're doing the same thing every day. So So I suppose here you'll definitely get an itch scratched, won't you?
Yeah, a lot of variety. Yeah.
We did actually just touch on a little bit of a subject there, where we've got two distinct paths when we're starting to look at employment or further education rather. We've got the academia for people who want to go on to A levels and doing college and then possibly going on to university and things like that. But that's not for everybody. So the other thing is that's available is like the apprenticeship schemes and things like that. I would like to say that for us to get more of that, I think we've got to stop, as a society, we've got to stop looking at apprenticeships as a consolation prize. Yeah. We've got to start looking at it's two equal streams. Not everybody's academic, not everybody's vocational. So we need to say that they're both as equal because they fit different people. What about you? What are your views on that?
Well, apprenticeship was never a consideration at first for me.
Right.
Going and do my A-levels was the outcome is university. You don't need many A-levels to get many apprenticeships. So it's not really driven. It's either you leave school at 16, you do an apprenticeship, or you stay on at college and you go to uni. It's very set, it's taught that way in schools, or at least the schools I went to. And, I just never thought about it. I was set on going to uni. I had loads and loads of different thoughts, loads of different options. My first thing was fashion design. I thought I might go do some fashion design, creative again, was really excited to do that. And then kind of hit reality again. And you're like, well, am I really, unless I'm at London University, which is a bit unrealistic for me, can't lie. I'm not really going to get that far with it, or if I do, it would be very difficult. And it just gives you a bit of a knockback, doesn't it? You lose your confidence a bit. So I thought, maybe that's not for me. And then went down another route, maybe thought, oh, why don't I go be a police officer? Literally jumped from one end of the scale to the other. I'll go to university, I'll get a degree and become a police officer and try and be a sergeant or something like that. Then obviously, again, reality hits. It's not as easy as said and done. And then it was my mum that gave me the realisation of, because school very much push you to go to university. And I was thankful they did, because they want you to aspire high and they want you to go on and get a really, really good, well-paid, high up there job. And I would love for that. But uni isn't all, fun and games as it seems. I've spoken to lots of people. I've got lots of older friends that told me the realities. And obviously I've not lived it, so I wouldn't know. And I wouldn't write it off in the future. But when I've left college and I still don't really know I haven't even found my feet at all. How can you jump into somewhere, moving so far away, spending quite a lot of money on a degree that I might even not use? My brain is creative. Like I said, it's all over the place. I want to do one thing one day and one thing the next day, and I've got to be here, there, and everywhere. So going and setting myself on exactly one thing with not much variety, it wasn't really for me. So my mum, she works in the apprenticeship industry, and she said, "Why have you not looked at apprenticeships?" I was, drawn to believe that apprenticeships aren't for people that have got some sort of knowledge. It sounds horrible, but it's for the people that leave school at 16 with not many GCSEs. And I did really well in my GCSEs, and I thought, well, going on doing your A-levels, I've hopefully got some A-levels out of it. Why not go and do an apprenticeship now? Like, it's only another qualification to add on to the other 3 A-levels as well. So it's very much pushed back now. You're not urged to do it. You're urged to go to uni. And I think it's quite
strange,
sad,
isn't it?
yeah.
Because I think when I was a kid, which was a long time ago, by the way, if you went on to do something that was apprenticeship or, be taken on in that sort of shape or form, I think you're right. I think a lot of the people I was at school with, if they were naturally techie or they were naturally creative or in that sort, and there was something available in those spaces, they didn't necessarily continue through to do A-levels. They just left and went straight in. Not because they were stupid people, but just because they knew that they learnt more by doing things and they were, physically better at doing things. There was maybe a handful of people at my school that were very into sort of engineering and that type of stuff. And they were actually applying for jobs and getting knocked back in apprenticeships and stuff because they were so sought after those roles. Like you say, big organisations where if you got in there, that was it. You were set for life. You know what I mean? You were on a good wedge and you got a good career progression and all the rest of it. But I came across a similar situation to you even back then because I could see things were changing because I had a few friends that years previously had gone on what you called YTS. Do you remember the YTS scheme?
I was a YTS. I initially joined the youth training scheme, right?
Yes,
so this is back in the day when we had 4 TV channels and pubs closed at 2:00 in an afternoon, right?
Yeah.
So I joined the military as a YTS because I for a long time I knew that I was going to join the military. It was part of my life plan because the situation I was in at the time. So I went to the Careers Information Office and sort of did my my testing and all this, that and the other. And they said, cool, so you can join as an engineer. And I went, great stuff, excellent. So that's me, engineering, give me qualification, brilliant stuff. And they said, so it's going to be about a year to 18 months before you actually join. And I'm thinking, what?
Want to go now?
Well, I want to do it now. Why do I have to wait that long? And they went, well, the thing is, the full-time places are... it's going to be a year, 18 months before you get in. I'm like crestfallen. I was absolutely gutted. And they went, we can join next month on a YTS. So just to put things into perspective, when you join YTS, you went through the same training. You went to the same units. You got you did the same job, exactly the same.
Yeah.
For a year.
Yeah.
For £11.25 a week. That was it. So at the end of that YTS year, the military then had an option to take you on as full-time. So some people did a year and then went, you know what, loved it, but it ain't for me, banging out. For me, it was an option to sort of go, right, I get in there, I show them what I can do, I show what I'm made of, and then at the end of that 12 months, I'm in.
Well, yeah, because the military are not going to want to waste your training, are they?
No.
So as long as you've been a good... a good recruit.
Yeah.
The reality is it's win-win, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think the main problem for me, I suppose it was a problem, it was a motivation, was when I was at my first unit, was a lovely little camp called Church Fenton, just outside Tadcaster. But when I went there, I had to go up to the paymaster and get £11.25 cash a week into my hand. Whereas everybody, all the people I work with, were getting hundreds of pounds, because they were full time. Got to the point where at 12 months I got taken on. And what I didn't realize at the time was because I got taken on full time, I got back pay. So for the last 12 months, all the money I would have earned if I was full time, they gave me as a lump sum.
Oh God, you must have been absolutely drunk for 2 weeks.
Absolutely. You know me too well. But yeah, so it was an option to join. So when that 18 months period came round, I'd already been full time for 6 months.
But what you got from that, and I guess that's probably where Soph's kind of more drawn to this. Is it because it's more hands on and you're actually learning?
Definitely,
Is that what the big draw is? And I think it's really underrated, isn't it?
100%.
You know, like you can learn. I'm a little bit of I like to do slightly different things to learn. So I like to physically do things and listen to things and stuff, but I also read a bit. And I think you're a bit like that, aren't you? You like to, but the reality is that by being out in the real world, you're not just learning skills that are kind of applicable to that kind of sector. You're also learning how to interact with people, how to adjust your style. You're going to learn about so many sectors working here, aren't you? Because we work with so many different organizations. You definitely, you know, in terms of your age bracket, going to learn a lot about the social interaction side of things from a workplace environment. I mean, what have you found it like coming in and getting to know us?
Well, I've loved it. I've really loved it. I've worked a couple of jobs and none of them have been like this. And like, to be honest with you, I think I've grown at first. I think I've lost a bit of confidence over the last few weeks. And at first I was really nervous, really shy. And I feel like now I've got my confidence back.
You hide it well, I think.
You hide it well. I can talk. I cover it up with that. No, but I do think I've grown a lot of confidence and I've learned a lot about myself. Like obviously with like the print stuff. I've
what's your print profile?
2.7.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. So she's
right, okay.
So for those of you who've done print, you'll probably connect with that. But for those of you that haven't, so a 2 is needed and appreciated, not to be mistaken with needy, because needy's not the right word. But you know, so really driven by humanistic kind of elements and a deep sense of care, I think is the right way. Empathy. And 7 is to enjoy life and be happy. And which probably kind of puts Sophie in the bracket of having a brain a little bit like Alice in Wonderland sometimes. And she likes to be kept interested, don't you?
Definitely.
So she wants to make sure that, you know, she has great relationships with people and she keeps people happy. And if she can do things to support them, she will, which is great for us as consultants because she works alongside us and gives us massive support. And then our 7 is, just wants to kind of be in the, you know, in stuff, magpie syndrome, shiny thing, shiny thing, shiny thing. Which is good because that's what we're going to give you here. There's a lot to do.
Yeah, so, and that's that creativity, thinking outside the box from a 7's perspective. And challenging appropriately and why do we do this and why does this happen and
that's
things
definitely
like that.
you. Why do we do this?
I've
probably heard you that. I've probably heard you say that.
That's interesting because I mean I was talking to a guy. I was doing a print review with a guy not so long ago, and he came out as a 7 and he was sort of saying, in my experience, I'm a bit of a disruptor, but from a good place.
Yes.
So from him as a 7, he's the sort of person in the team who's going to say, why do we do it this way? Why does this happen? And he says there's 3 ways that can be answered. Firstly, an explanation. Well, we used to do this and then we used to do that and then we tried this and it didn't work, so we went to this and that's why we do this now. And if that makes sense, that 7 will go, okay, fair enough. The second way people can answer it is turning around and saying, you know what? I don't know why we do it. Have you got any ideas? And usually as a 7, it's like, have I got some ideas? Strap yourself
Sit down.
Yeah. The third way, he said, is by far the most common. And it is the one way to get me to detach.
Because it is.
We've always done it that way. Shut up and get on with it. He says, as soon as I hear that, I think, right, you've lost all credibility. So it's that. So it made sense to me.
Does that make sense to you?
So many people sort of going, right, if it makes sense to me, if I understand why we're doing it, or I get the opportunity to influence it in some way, brilliant. But just saying, we've always done it that way, shut up and get on with it, means nothing to me.
Well,
totally
you're definitely no drama llama, aren't you? You're like, peace, peace out, everyone. But I think we were talking yesterday about like 7s kind of have a bit of a tendency to be a little bit of a spinning lots of plates. Often the teacups and saucers are falling off. And you were saying that, you're very conscious of being like that. So your 2, because your 2 is telling you add value, add purpose, but make people happy, makes you more conscious of being organised because then you don't want to let people down. So in a way, the two really balances your seven off well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which we've definitely seen. I would say she's been an absolute amazing asset to the team the last few weeks, wouldn't you say, Spence?
Yeah, certainly.
And she's in on the bounce as well.
In on
so
the
I
bounce.
quite like that.
It's all about the bounce.
Excellent. Yeah. So I interrupted you there when you were talking about print. So when you've gone through print, you've read it, you've obviously sort of on the whole, you've sort of aligned with it. So what particularly, is there anything in there that you went, God, that's
to be honest with you, it was the triggers. So
right.
I delivered her print and she was like, yep, all the triggers.
Yeah, the triggers. I can remember a couple of them, and the responses that I give, honestly, absolutely dead on. Everything was right, and you have like a moment where you're like, am I actually like that? And I'm like, I am. Like, I 100% am. And now, everyone I meet, everyone I know, I'm like scanning them. I'm like, you do that, I know what you could be. I'm trying to think. I do it all the time with my boyfriend,
got a future
with my
consultant
friends.
here.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm scanning them. It's mad.
Do you know what his print is?
No.
Has he been printed?
Drive you mental.
Oh, we're gonna have to do that.
He's
aren't
the complete opposite of me.
Oh, right. Okay.
Complete opposite. So
Right.
I'd like to see that. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
And can you make connections, like, because obviously you have just slotted in here lovely and obviously adding value straight away, but are you picking up on some of the kind of print elements and making the connection now that you're getting to know all of us in the room? So for instance, you've got a lot of 8s in the space. Can you pick us out? And are you spotting Spence's, like when he's on a shadow day or when he's in a good day? And
when Spencer has got to have his coffee made in a specific way.
Had my third teaching today.
But then you say that, and Lydia said the other day that she has to stir her tea in the morning 32 times. So she's worse than you. Yeah. Calling you out, Lids.
Yeah, she's a 5 though, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
There's
I'm
a lot
1.
of similarities, right? So do you think that you can feel that?
100%. I can see it. I think very much like Claire. She's 2, 9-2, is it? Yeah. And I can see mine and Claire's like similarities, but at the same time differences. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like I do bond with Claire because she just wants everything to be happy and to be nice, and I do. But I think I just like, she looks at me like, Sophie, what are you like? Are you losing your mind? I've got like the more not crazy, but I want to say like too, don't worry. Yeah, but it's nice though. She brings back down to planet Earth. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to look at everyone.
I know you like the psychology of things anyway, so this is just such a great insight, and I think having that print tool there is a little bit of an extra sort of added. It's in black and white. Yes, we are crazy, but you're able to kind of make the connections with everyone, and then hopefully the more that you've got contact with people that are coming in to work with us as well, because you're doing the print facilitation stuff, aren't you? You're making sure we have all our all the stuff we need to deal with our clients and stuff. So the more that you read and the more that you actually observe stuff, you're going to find it, I think you're going to find it really useful.
Well, yeah, as I'm like sending the prints out to people and receiving them and like printing them off for you guys for the sessions, I'm already looking at what type of a group it is. And I'm like thinking, and it's all coming together. Obviously, it's taking time. I've only been here like, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? But now I'm starting to like understand it more. And everyone I see, I'm just trying.
Maybe you'll have to start putting special sticky notes on the top of the piles.
Beware.
Going, this group's going to be disruptive, and this group's going to want to know the far end of a far.
Yeah, it's great though. It's given me like a new perspective. Well, new perspective on life, really. New perspective on like relationships, definitely. I think everyone should do it. Everybody should do it. Like, I'm not just trying to be biased. I really do think everyone should do it. When I first saw it, my mum had done it before me. I was absolutely like, this is mad. Why have we not done this at like school? Why? Do you know what I mean? It would really help sort out a lot of things in general life.
Well, I must say that the most frequent thing that people say to me when I'm out delivering day ones or print reveals or whatever, the most frequent thing is, can I get my partner printed?
Yeah.
And honestly, whether it's male, female, whether it's public sector, whether it's private sector, whether it's C-suite or whether it's production, whatever, they are so, because they're looking at it and it's like, well, this isn't new information to me, but it makes sense of what I already know.
Yeah.
So if it makes sense to me, then wouldn't it be great if I could find out about them? because obviously that's the most important person in my life, and to a greater or lesser degree. So to understand why, and to be honest with you, it's something that we can't do for everybody.
Yeah,
very, very rarely. However, I think the point is, you get to understand that what they do isn't personal to you.
Yeah.
They're not trying to throw you under the bus. They just go through life potentially in a different way.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about your particular, your partner, he does things that pushes your buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's that understanding of he's not doing it to push my buttons. He's doing it because he's prioritizing this thing.
Yeah.
That's important to him.
Yeah.
Might not be important to me. And I think coming out of a print session or coming out for day one, that is gold dust. That really is it's relationship transforming when you get it, that person who loads up the air in a different way to you isn't doing it to wind you up.
Yeah.
When they go and put their cups on top of the dishwasher and then wait for the dishwasher fairy to take them and put them in the dishwasher, they're not doing it to wind
Can
you up.
Sense he's triggered thinking about it.
They're not doing it to wind you up. They're doing it because they're prioritizing something else.
Yeah.
So that understanding, that getting that understanding of diversity, I think that's gold dust.
Yeah.
It really is.
What do you think your key learnings have been the first few weeks? So, and I guess what you're looking forward to the most about working here?
Key learnings, I'd say, like having diversity in work. Do you know, like I've very much been set on like specific subjects, specific things at like college and school, like concentrating like really narrow. Whereas here it's like there's so much different things going on, so many different things going on that you're having to juggle 8 things at once. Not particularly, like it's mayhem.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it. I'm getting used to it. I love being busy. So for me, that's been great. And what was the other question you asked? Sorry.
What are you most looking forward to?
Most looking forward to?
Apart from our next night out.
Yeah, I was going to say. No, I'm not everything really. Just like maybe getting more into like understanding everything in print, remembering every single number for what it is. I know the ones that are easy to remember, but maybe even like learning a bit more about what you guys do. Because obviously I've sat through a few sessions now and I really find them interesting, but I'd love to sit through a couple more and like learn it myself, learn a couple of things like that. So, because I feel like even like, was it leading others? I learned a lot in that. I'm not in like, management or anything like that, but I think it sets you up for life learning it earlier, definitely. I'd be like, I'd be going in definitely to, higher roles or further into life with much more confidence. Do you know what I mean? When you've had the base layer underneath already through learning the sessions and the workshops. So I'd be excited to learn more in that sense.
Potential consultant too.
I've already had that conversation.
Yeah, maybe. Never know.
Hey,
She's got the
never
confidence.
say never.
She's got the confidence. She's got the drive, and she likes to be busy. And she loves T2. So tick, 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 tick.
What more could you want?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is it that you, because I picked up an interesting little morsel just with a couple of minutes to go, but you're a bit sort of self-reliant, aren't you? You've sort of bought yourself a nice little motor, which is again, for you to buy your own car at your age. Do you run it yourself? Yeah.
Pay for all my petrol and insurance and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that,
Which insurance ain't cheap.
No.
So what was it that you did to be able to facilitate that?
So in lockdown, me and my dad were talking, and obviously very bored. Start of lockdown, nothing to do, no college work to do. I was kind of in. So I think lockdown was when my GCSEs were meant to be. So I didn't really have to revise or anything because I didn't know what A levels I was going to do. I didn't really know anything. So I kind of revised for a while. Then we said, "Oh, you're not doing your GCSEs anymore." So I was like, "Oh, well, what now?" So me and my dad were talking, and he said, "Why don't you set up a business investment? Set up a business, invest, do something."
Yeah.
And I'm there like, God, don't tell me to do that. I'm chilling. I'm taking my days off as they come. Like, and then I got to about 3 days, and I was like, right, I'm bored now. I really need to do something. Yeah. So he said, "What do you want to do?" And at the time, like I'm on Instagram. I'm on stuff like that, and I see that jewelry, beaded jewelry, is coming into there. So I thought, right, that's it. I'm gonna invest. So spent a couple £100 on some beaded jewellery, started creating some necklaces, anklets, even
Awesome.
belly chains myself, things for people's holidays, and advertised them on Instagram online. And I made quite a hefty profit out of it, which was great. And I got all my friends to advertise it, and basically came out of it with a car.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we'll have to, when we've got a little bit more time, we'll have to dig into that. So thank you very much, Sophie. Lovely meeting you. Thank you for your contributions, T-Dog.
Right,
always good to share a booth. So thank you for listening. That's the end of this particular Hubcast. See you next time. Bye-bye now.